Welcome back, my friends. How many Xeno variants do you know? Probably a lot. But which one of them do you want to see in Alien Isolation 2? That's what I found questioning myself. That's right, it's time for another speculation video. With the sequel so far out in the future, we don't have a choice but to make up our own theories and talk about our own ideas. Today, I will talk about the possible appearances of different xenomorphs and other enemies. I got an original idea for the implementation of one infamous alien type, so stick around to find out. If you want to hear more about my thoughts about the sequel and the possible return of Amanda, check the video in the description. And if you think this is the kind of content you enjoy, consider subscribing. And with all that said, let's go. I want to get this out of the way first, since it's kind of a bone of contention. I do not want to fight human enemies time and time again. I remember being annoyed with colonial marines when they sent hordes of soldiers our way, and the levels in Fireteam Elite with human adversaries are my least favorite. In my opinion, Alien Isolation got it right, for the most part. You run into some aggressive survivors at the start of the game. They slowed me down quite a bit on my latest nightmare run. But it made some amount of sense, you know? Other people grouping up and defending themselves reminds me of The Walking Dead. But when the armed soldiers appear at the end of the game, it's a slog. What's interesting is that not all survivors attack you on sight. Some are peaceful and you can have a line of dialogue.
Did something back there just explode?
That's the least of your problems. The creature's nearby.
You heard the lady. Let's go.
And this is what I want to see in the sequel. Please don't let me fight and sneak around dozens of armed guards or something. This is not Splinter Cell. This is Alien. Give the humans a different role. Let me interact with them, give me hints as to their state of mind and if they can be reasoned with or should be avoided. Let's start with a classic for the first xenomorph, why don't we? An alien game without a standard xenomorph? Unthinkable. Of course, we will get a drone. Or a warrior? What's the difference actually? If you Google it, you will of course get an answer. Something like this. Drones are standing only 7 feet, while warriors stand 8 feet. Drones are typically gray-brown, brown, or black, while warriors can be brown-red, blood-red, blue-black, and dark gray. The difference between a drone and a warrior is not their head domes, as so many tend to believe, as in the case of Grid, but their mannerisms and color. Drones are workers and warriors are warriors, and they act according to their role, though all aliens are hostile. Warriors are much more confrontational and violent, where a drone will sit and wait in silence until prey is within striking range. Is that so much of a difference? The side I got is from even states that they might as well be the same. The difference in behavior more likely stems from circumstance. The aliens in Aliens are often referred to as warriors based on their incredibly aggressive tactics, but they are protecting the hive and have advantage in numbers. Big Jap, the alien in Alien, was alone and in unknown territory, so it's smart to bide your time and pick off the crew one by one. And if you look at the actual scene from Aliens when they first encounter the aliens, they very much wait in the shadows for the right time to strike. The difference in appearance seems superficial to me. 7 feet, 8 feet, black, blue, black, come on. Sounds more like a difference in job, not species. And here's the only meaningful difference I can find. The term drone refers to a worker bee. They are busy with collecting food, building the hive, and tending to the queen and her eggs. If the situation arises, the drone aliens can fight like warriors. It's literally a difference in employment and uniform. Call it headcanon if you want, but I think it's silly to force a difference between drones and warriors when there simply is next to nothing to really distinguish them. Do you agree or not? Leave your opinion in the comments, especially if you have a strong case to disagree. Let's assume for a second there's a meaningful difference. Why would we need a warrior? If we also assume that the alien in Alien Isolation was a drone, I think it was aggressive enough. Taking into account what I said about circumstantial behavior, stealth versus all-out attack, stealth just fits the genre so much better. I mean, do I even need to argue this? And if you're just looking for a bigger, better alien, I got something for you. as you can probably guess. What can be said about the Queen that you don't already know? Only one way to find out. The Queen is the leader of the hive. She lays the eggs from which the facehuggers spawn. Her drones take care of the eggs and move them in front of the web victims. In Aliens, we can also see that she has some way to communicate with her drones. We'll get back to that. The color of the queens can vary. In Aliens vs. Predator, a video game from 2010, Weyland-Yutani captures an extremely old queen that appears to be grey. This sounds like a cool thing to add to Alien Isolation 2, as it brings some variety and subtly dips into the massive amount of lore and media that already exists in the franchise. It shouldn't be overlooked that the queen is not just a big egg-laying drone. The queen is smart. Damn smart. In the novel Alien Earth Hive, which I read recently, a mad general tries to control the queen via conditioning. You can guess how this ends. But the interesting part is that they subjected the queen to some kind of IQ test. How did they do that? Who knows? But she scored a whopping 175 points. For reference, that's a fuck ton. Wouldn't it be cool to see her put that to use? I'm torn when it comes to the role a queen should play in the sequel. The only thing I'm certain about is that they should take care not to waste her. In the otherwise great Aliens Dark Descent, I was surprised when I found myself encountering a queen early on in the game. Why did they do that? I realized that the game holds some surprises for later on, but in the first mission? And you just gun it down? It's admittedly a hard fight, but couldn't that have been a bit more cinematic or dramatic? I see two options. We play through the game, encounter the various opponents I line out in this video, and work our way up the ladder until we finally encounter the mother of the hive. We then fight her with the help of the environment, and trap and eject her, Ripley style. Make some awesome cutscenes, maybe give the characters the time to come up with a plan. This way we have a solid climax to the gameplay and we would know we just defeated one of the most terrifying creatures ever thought up. But what if the queen is not just the final bug to be crushed? What if she is actually the main antagonist of the game? Imagine the environment of an overrun Weyland-Yutani lab, as I alluded to in my Amanda video. We arrive after most of the action has already taken place. The lab is deserted with the occasional survivor here and there. Drones roam around the different levels of the compound. But the drones are not just mindlessly walking around looking for people to drag into the nest and use as breeding stock. Oh no. They act coordinated by the queen. The queen allegedly uses her antlers to communicate with the drones, releasing pheromones that the drones pick up on. But there is also some talk about telepathic or bioelectric connection between the mother and her monsters. In my opinion, there needs to be some sort of telecommunication, otherwise the instant reaction of the drones to the will of the mother as seen in Alien Earth 5 wouldn't be possible. So the queen directs her drones to where she thinks more survivors could hide, and lets them stand guard on vital points of the layout of the map. During the game, she uses them to cut us off, making us rethink our routing at every turn. I think this could be really cool, but the idea is not without its problems. When to introduce the queen? I said she shouldn't be wasted and not put in front of our noses right away. But I think you could get away with it by just alluding to the level of coordination the drones show. People who tend to look at every terminal could find different entries that speak of the capture of the queen or something. What do you think? I don't want to anthropomorphize her too much, so I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion about this.
You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism.
If you ask me, an alien story isn't complete without an android. I don't insist on having a forced revelation that one character, oh no, is actually an android, but some kind of involvement seems necessary. I like the working Joes. Their flattened facial features made them inhumane and scary looking. those features were actually intended so you can easily tell them apart from biological humans, as an audio log from Seegson Corporation reveals. You always know a working Joe. In Alien Isolation, they were necessary from a gameplay perspective. You need some variety in enemy types so it doesn't get stale. Going up against an android is significantly different. Sure, you can sneak around them more or less than you would do with the alien, but it's much easier to lure them where you want them to, and then eliminate them with a shotgun, bolt gun, or EMP grenade. They just overdid it a bit. After the section of the game where we eject our stalker into space in the lab module, the game once again reverted to androids in order to have the threat, since they wanted us to believe that the alien threat was over. I mean, who actually bought into that? But to actually get to the point, I want to see some androids.
Do the thing with the knife. Please.
They don't necessarily need to be enemies, since I propose enough alien types to include, and we also got human enemies. Maybe an evil Weyland-Yutani android who wants to keep us from purging the infestation? In my mind, this android would be more like an antagonist and less like an obstacle to outgun or outrun. What's your stance on the whole android topic? Do you find them as integral to an alien story as I do? One of my viewers commented on my first sequel video that he maybe would like to see a Deacon in the sequel. This Xeno variant was introduced in Prometheus 2012 and is quite different from the standard Xenomorph drone. It's a bit smaller, brighter skinned, and more agile. Relentlessly aggressive. It struck a nerve with me. Implementing this enemy would call for some constraints. It is just too fast and too aggressive for us to constantly run away from. And that doesn't really fit into the way the first game played, in my opinion at least. I could see a scenario where we are in an enclosed part of the Weyland-Yutani lab and use the environment to trap or kill the Deacon and get away. This way we wouldn't have to deal with the monster for long. But my bigger problem is the lore implication. As far as I understood it, we need two things for a Deacon. The black goo, okay, Weyland-Yutani could find some of the stuff. I could live with that. But don't you need an engineer as a host? We know that xenomorphs adapt biological traits of their hosts. And this is how I interpreted that birthing scene in Prometheus. And here lies the problem. First of all, I don't know if I want any engineers in my Alien Isolation. Tell me how you feel about what they did with the engineers in the movies, but I'm really on the fence. And then Weyland-Yutani would need to have gotten their hands on one. I just don't see it. But, as always, if you disagree, tell me your idea. If you like my gameplay implementation, but also don't like the lore implication, I got something. The so-called runner alien from Alien 3. As a child, Alien 3 was my least favorite of the bunch. I didn't like that we got this smaller variant that behaved differently. I didn't like most of the characters. I thought they were mostly just bad people. That put me off. The ending wasn't to my liking, and of course the unceremonious doing away with Hicks and Newt. I know the ending was necessary because Sigourney Weaver wanted her character to die so she wouldn't have to reprise the role again. But yeah, how did that turn out? But the handling of Hicks and Newt was the biggest sin of the movie in my opinion, and I know many of you agree. They should have done the story with completely new characters maybe, in the vein of an alien side story. But let's talk about the alien. Spawned from a four-legged host, it inherits some traits that lead to it being mostly quadrupedal. From which animal did it emerge in Alien 3? I was so confused for the longest time. As a kid, I knew it came from a dog. In my teens, I bought a DVD box and suddenly it came from an ox. What's going on? Well, the answer is simple. My DVD box included the special edition, in which the host animal is an ox. In the cinematic version, which I had seen on TV years before, the host animal is a dog. Kind of weird. I mean, what's the difference for the plot? Not much if you ask me, but maybe you can point me to an important difference. Anyway, as the name and their stance implies, these SOBs are fast, really fast, but not as durable. Therefore, you could take my gameplay approach for the Deacon and just switch it with a runner. Lore-wise, it also makes perfect sense. I can totally see Wayland Yutani trying to impregnate different animals and just observe what happens. If I think about it, why wouldn't they do it? Much easier to get a host in the first place, and morbid curiosity as a motivation also fits into the profile, so why not? Would be a cool change of pace. One part I enjoyed in Alien Romulus was the emphasis on the Facehugger. This thing seriously creeped me out as a child. I was just as scared of them as of the grown xenomorph. The design resembling two hands crawling towards you with such speed that you almost can't even react before it's too late. And once it gets to you, it's over. You're finished. Except when you're in a movie where they can extract the embryo, but yeah. After that, you're on a clock, ticking down to the most gruesome death you can imagine. And you might not even know it, lulled into a false sense of security until the chestburster does what gives it its name. Alien Isolation handles this part well. When you hear the Facehugger crawling towards you, you get a few seconds to react, and if you can't handle the attacker, it's over. You get an instant death screen. Sometimes you don't even hear them coming. I got no notes on that. I can't think of a unique way to improve upon this. Maybe give us a level crawling with the little bastards reminiscent of Romulus? Until we get the game, the movie will be a few years old, so it won't feel as much of a shameless lift. Do you have any ideas on how to implement them in an innovative way? Let's hear it. No. No. That's it for now. Thank you so much for listening. It means a lot. Subscribe if you want to hear more about Alien Isolation, the sequel, and lore in general. I also started streaming a Nightmare run and will go for my last missing trophy after that. So if that's something you'd like to see, join me and watch out for my stream announcements. All I've got left to say, have a great day, subscribe, and see you next time.
This is Ripley. Last survivor of the Nostromo. Signing off.